Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unique Peace. I am Janice. I am the Quiet Healer here on Long Island. I'm a Reiki Master Teacher as well as an intuitive medium. Today we have Emily Adams joining me. She is a massage therapist and a self-care coach. She went from New Jersey to Virginia, and we're going to hear about what brings her peace this morning. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning. Good morning.
And how are you today?
I'm good. I'm peaceful.
You're peaceful. So you had gone from New Jersey to Virginia just recently.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you're a massage therapist. So explain that whole new dynamic, because you went from comfortable, something you knew, to a whole new start.
Yes. Well, I was born and raised in in New Jersey, Plainfield, New Jersey, and I was in New Jersey my whole life. But my mom was born in Virginia, so she had come back to Virginia a few years back, and she developed breast cancer. She lives alone. And so, I tried to get her to come back to New Jersey. She refused. So I said, okay, I'm going to move because, she's alone. And I felt like, I needed to be there to support her. It was a difficult decision because life is in New Jersey. My son was like, I'm not leaving. I don't want to, I don't want to leave my friends. I'm not going. So, but for me, it was the only choice to come and be supportive to my mom. And so I found a job down here. I looked online. I did an online Zoom interview. I got the job. And, we couldn't bring everything that we had to bring because where we were going to be staying, we didn't have the room to store all our things. We put our stuff in storage and we just moved down. And it's been challenging since we got here. But, we're doing good and we're in our own place now. And mom is,
Good.
she's not the greatest, but I'm there to support her.
So in making that transition from New Jersey to Virginia, and you said it hasn't been easy, what has been the best thing to come out of that transition, to that move?
Well, to realize, I always thought that, if I lived in a different place, my life would be so different. But I found when I came here, I recreated the same scenario I had in New Jersey. And I'm like, okay, so I can't blame it on location. So it just helped me to see, like, it's not the outer that influences it, it's what's going on in me. Like, I attracted the exact same circumstances and environment. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't blame it on my location anymore. That the work has to be done in me. So that was the greatest aha that I have had.
Nice. And that's a kind of a poignant statement. It's like when you stop and think about it, it's like I moved down here, I could be anyone, and I created my old self. So knowing that,
Right.
have you implemented any changes?
Well, some changes that I have implemented is in my morning routine. Well, I used to do this in New Jersey, but not always consistent. So my morning routine, realizing how important it is to get my day off to a good start through meditation, EFT tapping, and I do something called thought therapy, where you do eye movements, you say affirmative prayers and statements. So that helps me, like, to get my day off to a good start. Also focusing on gratitude, like while I'm driving, I'm listening to a YouTube gratitude meditation, and that always brings up emotions and feelings that have been suppressed. They get to come out and, be seen, and that helps quite a bit.
Wonderful. I love that. And you noticed that you needed to make some changes, and you're starting in you.
Yes.
And how has that, like, brought you peace? How has that transition? It's like, I went from New Jersey to Virginia. I created the same environment. Now I am recreating and really starting over. What has brought you the most peace in making that transition?
Well, I think, like, when I do meditation, I get, like, a different insight. Like it's not just me coming from my logical mind. It's like I'm opening up my heart. I get new ideas, new inspiration, and it helps me to see that, I can open up myself to new things and not just think that, okay, this is how it is, this is how it's always going to be, but just open my blinders like, oh, there's things over here, things that have not yet come but are on the way to me. So just like opening myself up when I do my meditation and just surrendering and realizing I don't know it all. There's other perspectives. There's people out there willing to help me if I ask. That's been something I learned since I've been here. A lot of times I'm like, I can do it by myself. I don't need help. But since I've been here, I've been asking for help, and help has been coming in amazing ways, amazing ways. So just being more open, that has been great, great for me.
Wonderful. And what truly brings you peace?
Well, what really brings me peace is when I'm focusing on my body, my mind, and spirit, and realizing I'm more than just a physical body. They say I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. So when I realize that, I realize everyone's going through their challenges, and it helps me to stop being so judgmental of other people, because people are doing the best they can, because sometimes I may have to know, why does she do that? Like my mother, why is she like that? But then realize, she's doing the best she can. And, she's on her own journey. I can't make her do what I want her to do. Just accepting her for how she is, who she is, and loving her through it. That has been a great eye opener for me. And stop. Oh, one day she's going to get it together. One day she's going to change. Just realizing she is who she is. I love her regardless. And myself too, as well. I have things that I wish I didn't do, but I still do. And I'm like, okay, having that compassion for myself. I'm a human being. I have certain challenges that I deal with, as we all do. And just realizing, like when I woke up today's another day. I got up and went for a walk. In the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, you're walking today, but what about the rest of the week when you don't walk? What's going to happen then? And then I said, you know what, just for today, I'm doing this. I could make the choice tomorrow to do the same. And if I don't, I could still love myself regardless. So just that acceptance and compassion.
That's actually beautiful, because one of the Reiki precepts, as a Reiki master teacher, all of the precepts start with just for today. Just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will not worry. All of that. But one of the last precept is to just for today, I will show compassion to myself and all living things. So I find that beautiful that you start off with just for today, because you can only take it one day at a time. And it seems like Emily is frozen a little bit. You back, Emily?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. So now when you're walking and you're telling yourself, I got to be consistent on this. Are you peaceful when you take that walk? Are you focused on the surroundings and clearing your head? Or do you find that inner critic inside that we all have just wants to run its mouth?
Well, when I walk, I find the inner critic is not as active, because walking is something I used to do every day when I was younger. It just brought me peace. And I feel like I'm connecting again with what I used to find so much peace in. So I feel proud of myself for getting out there, going for that walk, stop making excuses. Walking it calms me, and it helps me feel like I'm doing something good for my body. It energizes me.
Yeah, you're multitasking on a great way.
Yeah.
So when you find that peace in yourself, how are you able to bring peace to others?
Well, I feel like I'm able to be more non-reactive around other people and less judgmental, because I feel like, it takes two to tango. But if I'm just like not engaging, then it's not going to fuel the fire. So it helps me to come from a place of more compassion. And instead of like, oh, wow, why is that person like that? I could stop and think, maybe perhaps they're going through something, and maybe it's not about me. I don't have to take it so personal. This is just what it is. This is where they are for the day. Doesn't mean that they're always like this. I don't have to take it personal. I deal with them in the most compassionate way I can in that moment. And then Okay, this will be over soon, so I don't have to let it ruin the rest of my day because I deal with people every day. Some of them not very nice, and when I encounter someone like that, I just say this will be over in like a minute or two at the most, and then I can move on with my day. I don't have to let this ruin the rest of my day. I don't have to take it personal. I just let that go. So yeah.
Okay. That's a great way of thinking of it, and I think that that's an advice for all of us that we should take with us. And do you find that your biggest challenge is probably your mom because you love your mom and you want her to do what she's supposed to do, and sometimes they reach that, "I'm still your mom. I'm gonna tell
Mhm.
you what to do," kind of
Yeah.
point in life,
Yes.
even though you're both adults.
Mhm.
So, what has been your greatest challenge in finding peace when trying to help your mom, and what do you feel has worked the best? What can the rest of us take with us?
Well, I feel the biggest challenge is seeing that she is struggling. That's my biggest challenge. Seeing that, like who she used to be is so totally different from who she is now. That's hard to accept. But I think what helps me to deal with it is to realize that I can't change her no matter what I do. I could stand upside down on my head, jump up and down, scream and cry. It's not going to change like how she does things or how she moves or what she does. So what I've realized is to just like when she'll say certain things and I feel like jumping in there, but, and I just, you know, take a breath. Okay, it is what it is. Sometimes I state my opinion, but I realize trying to do it over and over, it's just trying to control her. So I just realized I can't change her. I can love her for who she is, support her in whatever ways I can. And if something, if I feel some of her requests are unreasonable, I just say, Mom, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And just realize I do what I can, the most I can. Because one time she said to me, something about me, I forget what it was, but I said, Mom, how can you say that? I moved all the way from New Jersey to be here to support you. Like, and if you feel that way, I don't know what other way I can show you that I'm here for you. And I just let it go because in my heart, I feel like I've done. Some children wouldn't, uproot their whole life to
Right.
go and support them. So I feel like I've done what I felt was right in my heart. And I can rest that night no matter what her opinion is. I know in myself, I've done what I can. So, and I say, when the time comes, if the time comes and she has transition, I could say, I did what I could. I did what I could to be there for her and to support her. And I feel, peace within myself for that.
That's great advice. Now, I like you, I'm a single mom, and sometimes our kids just, whether you're a single parent or not, will drive they find the button and they wanna touch it. They it's like, "But I want that last nerve button. I wanna touch it. I wanna touch it," and they usually slam down on it. Um, so it's like, "See what happens when I do this." So, what is the biggest challenge in staying peaceful when trying to help your child, even though you know that they may or may not listen? They it's not like trying to come down to the toddler side and just, like, listen to them and say, "Okay, well," trying I always found myself trying to explain something to a small child in an adult way, and it didn't work, and it took a long time to learn that. I admit that. But now he's older, and speaking his language can be a challenge. Do you find it to be a challenge to speak your son's language and try and stay peaceful and bring him peace? Because those are real challenges.
Yeah, you never lied about that. It is a challenge. I realized the best thing to do is to disengage because we're going back and forth with that tug of war. He sees it his way, I see it my way. Why? But why? But why? And sometimes I say, you're living under my house. I have rules which have to be followed. I know you may disagree, but once you get old enough and you can move out, then you set your own rules. But there has to be rules. Everyone has to follow rules. Even as an adult, I have to follow rules. I can't just go out and do whatever I want to do. He still disagrees. And sometimes I just say what I have to say and just walk away. If I'm on the phone, sometimes I say what I have to say. I love you, and I hang up. In the house, I can't do that. But sometimes it
Right.
gets to the point where I'm going for a walk, I'm going for a drive because I need to calm myself down because sometimes it just gets to the point. I'm just going to step out and go for a drive. I calm myself, take some breaths. Sometimes I might call a friend, express how I'm feeling, get a different perspective, and then come back. When I come back in the house, I don't want to discuss it any further. Perhaps we can discuss it tomorrow. And then sometimes when the next day comes, we'll sit down and talk about it a little more. Maybe we'll drop it in, do it in the future. In the future when this happens, we're going to do blah blah blah. Not that that always works, but at least we're discussing
Right.
it. And sometimes if we come to an agreement with my phone, came to agreement. If there's any questions, we can go back, look at the video, and see what we agreed to. So that helps.
Let's go back to the tape. Like that. So, do you find that that kind of brings him peace? It's like, okay, mom's angry right now, but she is listening. And he kind of calms
Mm-hmm.
himself down and finds a way to like you exhibit as like
Well,
he
once
can
I'm
feel
gone, and
saying, yeah, it's like
yeah,
feels like,
once I
okay,
walk
all
out
right,
and he
ma,
knows
I
that
need
I'm
to go
going,
for a walk.
yeah,
Just
sometimes
kind
he
of
go
like
for a
showing him
walk
like, I
too
need
if
to
he
go
gets
for a walk.
upset.
That's awesome.
For a walk
It's
sometime if he
actually
gets
a great
really
way
angry,
to,
which I appreciate.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather for him to
So
do that to be in a house like yelling, screaming.
right, taking that moment to calm down and clear your head actually is a very good thing. Taking that moment to
Yes, I
say,
agree.
stop. We need to step away because we're not listening to each other. That was like, I know for me, that was a very powerful lesson for me. It's like, you're not listening to me. I don't think I'm listening to you. And we need to think about it and then try and come back. And I love that because that is actually peaceful and it solves, in my opinion, you can agree or disagree. It solves a lot of communication points because it's like, okay, now you have to stop and say, did I really hear what they say? Do I really assess it? Was it really wrong? And they have to do the
Mhm.
same. And then you can
Yes.
come back to cooler heads. And I I will do that with my own son too. It's like you're not listening. I've said what I have to say, and then he'll come back like a couple hours later, and he'll kind of go in a windy road to approach it, but he approaches it calmer.
Mhm.
It's
Right. Right.
like recently curfew. It's like, "Can I stay out? So and so," and it's like, "I'm not so and so's mom. I'm your mom. I'm a little overprotective. We'll deal with it." But calming down is a
Yes.
great way to to stay peaceful, for sure.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
um, in everyday life, whether it's with your clients or your customers or your mom and just in any way possible, how do you feel you bring peace to others?
Well, I've had people tell me I have a calming voice. Your voice is so soothing and calming, and just by like trying to have uplifting conversation with people, like joking with them, laughing, or trying to discuss something we have in common, finding out what's coming up for them. It just helps people to engage in what they enjoy. So that helps, and just trying to stay calm, not get excited, and as well.
Right, right. And when you put people at ease, especially at work, do you find that it disarms your clients and customers so that they are more at ease? Because we've all dealt with those irate customers. I remember when I was a teenager and I was working at PetSmart as a cashier, I literally had someone yell at me for 45 minutes about their dead fish.
Oh,
Yeah, that was an unforgettable experience, clearly. Um, but it taught me a lot about customer service. Now, looking at my 17-year-old self versus my current self, It's one of those where I could have disarmed and been better and not I wasn't combative with the person, but it's like, "I can't fix your dead fish, and you're supposed to go back to the other department." But now it would be like, I would try and
Mhm.
disarm them in the sense of like, "I'm sorry this happened to you. I understand it's expensive fish. Why don't we go back to aquatics together and see what was working out?" So the difference between myself then and myself now is like, okay, would approach it differently. So in your line of work, do you feel like, okay, quickly assessing where they're at, making them laugh, that kind of discharges any sort of customer service explosion, for lack of better metaphor, that could happen?
Well, I feel like, I do as much as I can to try to resolve the issue. But if I feel like it's something that would be better handled by a manager or someone above me, I'll tell them, let me get my manager, maybe they can help you in a way, that I'm unable to because they have access to more things. So, I do what I can. And like to spend 45 minutes, that is a lot of time. So, yeah, like at my job, I can't spend 45 minutes with one person. So I would have to go get my higher up to, tell them what's going on, what I've tried, and see what other options could be offered to the person. Because sometimes it's just above my head, like she
Right.
has access to more tools than I do. So I do as much as I can, let her know what I've done, and then, let her take it from there.
Beautiful. What's your, favorite technique for quickly getting into a peaceful mode?
Whew, let me see my favorite technique. Well, one of them is I do this thing called alternate nostril breathing, where you
I've heard of
inhale,
that.
inhale for 6, close for 2, exhale for 6. That helps me, like, they say it helps to balance both sides of your brain. So I do that for 10 cycles and then breathe in, breathe out. And that helps me to calm down. Another one I use is it's called the heart math technique, where
Hmm.
you go into this rhythmic breathing. You're focusing on gratitude. You do that for 5 minutes. Feel extremely different. When I do it for half an hour, I feel like I've had a massage. I feel so relaxed. But sometimes I don't have a half hour. I do 5 minutes. I feel like I'm on an even keel again. I'm more calm, more relaxed. Heart is more rhythmic. Those things help me a lot. Sometimes I do the EFT tapping. Like if I'm upset, the tapping helps me to just like get those feelings out, because sometimes they need to be released. Like if I'm at work, something upsetting happens, I can go in the bathroom, do a quick tapping, do my points, breathe in and out. I could come back, I could be calmer, I could interact better with the patients and, be more present.
Me more present. Yeah, that's the whole key. Is like, okay, this isn't about, like you said, this isn't about me. This is just one moment, one situation in my day.
Right. Right. I don't have to let that
And
ruin
so
my whole day.
right. So you've brought up I mean, I've heard of the alternate, nostril breathing, actually from an anger management coach, and she was wonderful. She for an anger management coach, she had a lot of energy. I was like, "Okay." And it wasn't even for me. She just was somebody, I encountered in one of my networking groups. She was a very sweet woman. She's since passed, but she was a very sweet woman. But, can you go into depth a little bit about the, rhythmic heart breathing? Because that one I haven't heard of before.
Oh, okay. It's called Heart Math. It's
Heart math, sorry.
um, organization is called the Heart Math Institute. So, I'm always watching videos trying to do self improvement. And I saw somebody talking about the heart math technique. So, when I looked into it, it was talking about how our heart and brain sometimes are not in coherence because, our brain's trying to figure things out. We're in stress mode, heart's not beating, the way it should. So with the one that I do, there's different ways, but it's you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8.
Oh,
So you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. And so what you're doing is getting your heart and your mind to come into coherence. And it helps to calm down your body, to lower your blood pressure. And then they have you focus on something someone has done that, has brought you joy. You're focusing on that, you're doing your breathing, and then you're thinking about what brings you gratitude. You just like staying in these like high vibrational state.
Vibration.
Focus on what brings you gratitude, and then you're trying to magnify it. And then it speaks about like letting your energy go out more and realizing that there's energy all around us, to be more open to positive energy. And it's a meditation that's on YouTube. A lady has it. She's a hypnotherapist. It's about a half an hour. And when I listen to it and do the whole thing, I just I feel great. I feel like I had a best massage. I feel relaxed. I can feel that I'm not in that fight or flight mode anymore. I'm calm. I'm in the rest and digest, and it brings me such incredible peace.
Now, when you're looking for techniques and, quick, because that sounds like something where it's like that's how you would start your day or end your day.
Right, right,
And I think that's a beautiful way to start or end a day.
right.
Particularly an end of the day thing, because let's face it, we can really. I start my morning 5 a.m. I do my thing, the exercise, the read, the quietly enjoy my coffee, because when I'm calm, um, I have a grumpy child. He's like a poke the bear in the morning kind of kid. He's getting better, um, but he was one who's just not a morning kid. And he doesn't even stay up that late. He just doesn't like getting up. I get it. But, when I wasn't doing that, when I wasn't getting up and setting my day for myself in a peaceful state, it was harder because we were both rushed. Now I'm not rushed. I'm like, "Okay, I've done a lot of things I wanna get out of the way for myself." So it's kinda like, "Just get in the shower." I don't care how grumpy you are, get in the shower. Come on, because I'm mostly ready. It's just getting him ready, and I just worry about that because I'm in a peaceful and calm state. Where after you work and you deal with whatever you have to deal with, clients, customers, the person who cut you off for no good reason because they forgot the traffic laws, those type of incidents. I think something like what you were talking about, the heart method, would be a great way to end the day. So, um, what's your favorite peaceful technique for starting and ending your day?
Well, a lot of times when I wake up, I just sit silence for just like 10 minutes and just, get calm. And, of course, the mind is going, but just, focus on my breathing and, just ask for guidance. Like, what should I be focused on today? Like, what can I do today that will bring me the greatest amount of peace and joy in my day? That's one thing that helps me. Excuse me. Another thing I do is some yoga stretches, because that helps to, I have issues with my back. So when I do
Mhm.
these stretches, it's helping me to, get my back aligned. I do my legs like a windshield wiper type thing. My knee.
I've done that
That
one.
helps to get my back, have my back to be more flexible. And then also when I'm doing it, I'm doing deep breathing, which is helping me to just open up and, feel more expansive. And so when I'm doing that, I always feel like that's the greatest self-care I can have, because if my back goes out, I can't do anything. And it has gone out on me a few times. So
And that's the worst.
yeah, that's my way of, this is my self care for my spine, for my hips, my shoulder, just self care for myself. And one time I saw a chiropractor and he said, "Wow, your spine is in great shape." And I said, "That's my yoga I do every day." So that's another thing that I do that helps me to feel more peaceful. I have more flexibility, because to me, it's flexibility of the mind, but also I have to have that flexibility of the body. So that's another thing. And then just reading a couple of pages out of my inspirational books I have. Sometimes I'll just close my eyes, open up a page, and it's always what I need. And I'm
It
just like
is, isn't it?
emotional. I'm like, "God, you looking out for me. You show me what I need. I appreciate it."
Yep.
And yeah, that's some things that I do.
And that's how you start your day. Now, how do you end your day?
Well, when I end my day, what I try to do is go over what I could have done maybe a little differently. Like, instead of saying that, maybe I could have said blah, blah, blah. Next time I could approach it in such and such and such way, like just being reflective about things that have, and then like, what did I do right? Like, what can I give myself credit for that I did well today? Like, what I did well today, what I can do differently, or what I wish I had done, just like reflecting on the day. And then, it depends on how tired I am. Sometimes I do my heart math thing. Sometimes I have some other practices I may engage in. Sometimes I'll do yoga for sleeping, and you can do it right on your bed, and that's great as well. So it varies.
Wonderful. Now, going back to the people in our lives that we are close to and bringing them peace, have you ever tried, like with your mom or with your son, finding ways to kind of like help them with their peace journey? Kind of like, hey, why don't we try this? Or mom, why can't we just sit for a minute and I want you to try something with me?
Hmm. Well, actually, I did one time. I did. I don't think she tried it with me, but I shared with her a practice I had been doing. I don't think she was ready to try it, but I did share it with her. It was a breathing practice that I had been practicing. It's called the William Hoff breathing technique. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No,
So
I haven't. You're bringing up things I haven't heard of. I love this.
So you do 30 deep breaths in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And then you have to hold your breath for 30 seconds. Then you hold your breath the second time for a minute. Then the third time, a minute and a half. So it's like you're working your way up, working your way up. It's energize your body, gets the carbon dioxide out. Like it's a whole process. And so I was showing her one time, look, Mom, look what I can do. And I said, you think you can do it? Like, oh, not right now. But I did share that with her. With my son, I always try to encourage him to do meditation. He's not at all interested, so I don't try to encourage him. But what I do is give him massages. I have my massage chair and table. He loves that. So that's our time to bond when I give him a massage. And Mom, come work on my back. He's always hunched over his computer or phone, so he's always got back pain. So
Right.
I get to work on him. That's our way of connecting and bonding. And then I tell him, you got to try to correct your posture, which he says he will, but he's right back to slouching as soon as he's over his phone again. But that's our time when, I could put on the quiet, relaxing music. We could just be quiet, and he says, oh, Mom, your hands are hot. I said, that's energy. That's the energy. It's coming out. It's going into you. And so it's just a time for us to connect. That's the best way we connect, because the meditation, he's not interested. That's boring.
That's
And then
boring. I love it.
sometimes we'll just go for a walk together, or occasionally we go to the gym because we have membership. We'll go there and work. Come on, Mom, lift the weights. So that's another thing we may do.
Right. But don't discount meditation right now, because while he says it's boring, at least he's not saying I can't. He's just like, my brain's going 90,000 miles an hour, lady. No, I gotta find something else. Um,
Yes.
because I was like, oh, this isn't sinking in. It sinks in more than we think.
Mhm, mhm. That's what people tell me. Like when he gets older and looks back, he'll be like, Mom used to do this. And I remember Mom did. They were like, don't think he's not paying attention, because he really is.
They really are. He really is. Don't discount it. Just keep encouraging it, because it's kind of like that rock in the river. It's like you can wear it down. It might take a while, but you can wear it down. I mean, the Grand Canyon was created over millions of years. It wasn't just there. I mean, it might have
Right.
been, but history and evolution tells us it was created over millions of years.
Right, right, right. And I took him to the Grand Canyon when he was younger, because I always felt like I wanted my son to have some of the experience I didn't have when I was young. And he said, Mom, it's too big. Like when he looked at the canyon, he was just like overwhelmed. I said, okay,
Right.
just stay behind the railing. Don't go in front of the railing, and you'll be safe.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, don't think it's not something in. It is. He'll look back one day or like, Mom's always talking about this. Why don't I just try it?
Mhm, mhm.
And so they absorb more than we realize, and that's
Yes.
a great way of thinking of it. Is just like just continue to be that river, continue to
Mhm,
just
mhm.
flow.
Right.
Um, So that's perfect. Now, if I were to come to you today and say, Emily, I'm just having a really hard day, having a really hard day. I can't settle in and I don't have a lot of time to really try and get myself recentered and in a peaceful moment. What's in your toolbox that you can say, have you thought about? Have you tried? What about?
Well, there's a couple things that come to mind. The one is like there's on YouTube, there's like you could do a 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute meditation. You could look up that, for calming. They have so many tools. There's one tool I used to use. It was on YouTube called the Quiet Mind Cafe. It's basically like a body scan. You do a whole, it's like 7, 8 minutes, a whole body scan. Relax your neck, relax your, by the time you get to the end, you're ready. You can go. I used to do that for just 7, 8 minutes. I'm ready. I'm energized. Okay, I can do this now. I could come back to this later. Another thing that I like to do is qigong, the qigong practice, where you're just like bouncing and breathing. So you could look up a quick qigong. They have
Mhm.
some are like 5, 6 minutes. There's one guy. He's called Lee Holden. He has a 7 minute qigong, opening up your energy, get your breathing going. You do that for 7 minutes, you're good to go. You're resetting yourself.
You're
So,
setting all that energy and
mhm.
beautiful.
Qigong is excellent. I love it.
And what's your favorite advice for people who are like fanatic and like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Because we've
Um,
all been there. We've all started there.
mhm. Well, one thing I would say to someone who's like that, like I had a friend, she was having such a hard time with everything, blah, 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 blah. I asked, well, what do you want for yourself? What is it that you really want for yourself? Like, because she's in a relationship tumultuous. I was like, sometimes we tell ourselves I can't make it without this person, blah blah blah. And I said, I've been there. I can't make it without him. But what if what if tomorrow he passed on or something happened and he was
Right.
just not around? What would you do? Like, think about. I said, because that's what happened to me. I was with my son's father. He got deported, and I was like, okay, I gotta figure it out now. I have no choice.
Now you have to. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah, I said I had to figure it out. Like I couldn't tell myself anymore. I can't make it without him. I said sometimes we have these stories in our head and we convince ourselves, oh, I can't live without this person. But I said it was presented to me in a way. Okay, now you don't have no choice but to live without him. So what would you do if that person could no longer be there to support you? Like what resources do you have? What help could you reach out for? Like sometimes our story is our own worst enemy. Like we can't be so addicted to our story that this
Yep.
is the only way we can see life, because there are other things that are out there for us if we are open to it. So I just ask, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Independent of the other person, what do you want? So I think sometimes it's important to just sit down, like, what do I want? Write it out. What do I want? Yeah.
So, and guess a follow-up question would be, since I had a very similar kind of experience where we all have that kind of story, and I myself was in a very tumultuous and unpleasant marriage. We'll leave it at that. And he said something, and he said it in front of our son, and that was just because I had preparing, what do I want? I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, and trying to prepare to leave safely. And God, the universe, source, what have you, said, you're taking too long. And kick my butt. And all this happened, and it happened quickly. And like you said, it's like, who do I have? What resources? Where can I get the help? So when you think about what do you want and how quickly it can happen, how do you how did you find peace in that?
Well, actually, I think when it all happened, I was in denial. I was in denial about, I kept saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But actually, I wasn't
You were not.
totally fine. I was forgetting things. And I don't know. I guess I was just trying to find a way to cope. I feel like I should have really reached out for maybe some counseling, some help, because I was forgetting. I would go to the store. I couldn't remember my pen. I was a mess. But in my mind, I kept saying, I'm great. I got this. I think I should have really reached out for like a counselor, someone to talk to. But I guess I felt like I had to be that strong woman. I have to be strong. I can't show my feelings. But I feel like sometimes asking for help, maybe counseling, therapist, someone in your church you trust or somewhere, just to be able to verbalize how you feel instead of holding it all in. And then I think I kind of went into a little bit of depression because I wasn't really like expressing how much pain I was in at the time. I just kept saying, "Oh, I got this little child. I got to be strong." And I think reaching out for more help would have been good for me at the time. But what I did do was I refused to just like lay in the bed and cry. I would just go out with my son. Come on, let's go to the park. Let's keep busy, because he was young. He couldn't really understand what had happened. So I was like, I got to keep myself going for him. We'll do things. I was like, we can't just sit in the house and be depressed. Like I would take him to the park, just try to keep us engaged so we could just keep moving forward with our life. It was a difficult time. But looking back, I see some things I could have done differently. But the part about just keep going, that's the part that I was focusing on too, because I'm like, I got a young boy. I can't just let him see me like go down the drain.
No. And so what helped keep you peaceful during that time? I know you're saying you gotta keep going. I mean, I did too. Um,
Mhm.
Kept me peaceful because, Dorothy's tornado in The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, yeah.
I had to stay calm, and I was in that eye, and everything
Mhm.
is, like, going around me. I didn't care where the barn landed and the cow landed, and you could throw a car in front of me. I just had to stay calm. So what
Right.
helped you that maybe others can take who are
Mhm.
in those kinds of situations?
Well, I think one thing that comes to mind is the meditation I was talking about earlier, the Quiet Mind Cafe thing on YouTube. I used to listen to that. And, there was a lot of videos on there about relaxing and calming yourself down. So I would do that. And I would talk to other people about mindfulness. I tried to start focusing more on mindfulness. And at the time, I had a job where they used to have like it was a school, so they would have what they call in service for the teachers. And so I
Yes.
went to my boss and I was telling him, I've been working on this mindfulness type thing and I would like to present it to the staff. He's like, "Oh, that'll be great." So I was able to share what I was learning with other people.
That's right.
And then they would come back and say, "Oh, I got angry last night and I turned on that video you told us about and it helped me to calm down because I was arguing with my spouse. And thank you. And it helped me out so much." So like sharing what I was learning with others also helped me to be a reinforced. Like I get feedback from them. And I'm like, "Oh, it's helping them. Let me keep going." And at that time, I think I started trying to go out into the community and do mindfulness workshops at libraries in the area. So by doing that, I would I had to prepare for what I was going to
Mhm.
say and do. So I would have my script all written out, my presentation, PowerPoint. So, that would help me focus on what I was going to talk about when I got there and to keep my skills fresh. So that's another thing that helped me as well.
I love it. I love it, and that is a nice thing to have in the toolbox to bring to people. It's like, "Try this."
Yeah. Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
is there anything else that you would like to talk about regarding peace and finding peace?
Well, I think it looks different for everyone because some people are not open to meditation. I had a friend, she was like, "Oh no, Christians don't do that." So for me, I was able to just say, I respect what you're saying and not try to get into an argument with her, convince her to see things my way. Because some people do feel that some of the things I do are new age. I have a cousin, I don't get into that new age stuff, that's not of God, whatever, whatever. And so my
Mm.
perspective is do what works for you. Different things work for different people. If that doesn't work for you, find what does bring you peace. So it's about what works for the individual, because what works for me might not work for you. So I just have to remember to everyone's on their own journey. Not everyone sees and believes in the same way.
Nope.
And so someone tells me like, what you're doing is new age and that's not of God. I respect their opinion. I disagree. And so we don't have to talk about that. Let's talk about something else, because this person who told me that is someone I speak to every day. So I just, you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and so you do what works for you, I'll do what works for me, and we can agree to disagree. So I think finding peace is about what works for the individual, and not arguing with people, trying to get them to be convinced that what I'm saying is right. So if that doesn't work for you, what does work for you? So just try to be accepting of other people's opinions, and realize what works for me is what I stick with, and they do what works for them.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. And I hope everyone carries that throughout the day today. But do
Yes.
what works for you, and finding that peace. And there are many options available to us
Yes.
every day.
Yes.
And I would like to thank you, Emily, for joining us today and talking about peace.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank all of our listeners. We do have someone. He says, Michael Zinn says, great conversation. Thank you, guys. So thank you, Michael, for that lovely comment. And again, we're going to go through the day doing what's best for us and finding ways to bring peace into the everyday. Thank you, Emily, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.